She has no confirmed name. We know almost nothing about her. The pearl may not even depict a real pearl. And yet, for more than 350 years, this stranger has done something almost no painting can do. She makes us feel seen. Look at her for a moment. Really look. There is a strange sensation that creeps in when you do. The feeling that the looking is not only going one way, that across 3.5 centuries, across the varnish and the cracks and the dark, something behind those eyes has turned toward you. She is about to say something. She never will. And that unfinished moment is the trap. Because your mind cannot leave it alone. You keep returning to it, the way the tongue returns to a missing tooth. There should be more. There is supposed to be more. A name, a story, an answer. There is none. Tonight, we are not going to solve her. We are going to ask why we so desperately want to. Here is what we actually see. A young woman emerges from darkness. She has turned her head over her shoulder, caught in the act of looking back. As if we called her name and she answered. She wears a headscarf, deep, luminous blue wrapping across her brow, with a long tail of soft yellow falling behind her. Her jacket is a warm earthen gold. Her collar, a slip of pure white at her throat. Her skin is impossibly smooth against the shadow. Her eyes are wide and wet with light. Her lips are slightly open. And there, hanging in the darkness beside her jaw, a single teardrop of light. The pearl. That is all. No room, no furniture, no story written around her, no clue about where she is, what year it is, or who she belongs to. Just a face turning in the black. It should feel simple, a small painting, barely larger than a sheet of paper. You could cover it with 2 open hands. Instead, it feels like the most intimate moment a stranger has ever offered you. But to understand why, we have to go back to a quiet man in a quiet town who spent his short life painting silence. His name was Johannes Vermeer. He was born in the Dutch city of Delft in 1632, and he lived there almost his entire life. This was the Dutch Golden Age, a time when a small nation grew astonishingly rich on trade, and ordinary merchants suddenly wanted art for their own walls. Not kings, not saints, just life. And Vermeer painted life quieter than anyone. Most of his surviving works show private, hushed interiors. A woman reading a letter by a window. Milk falling in a slow thread from a jug. People caught inside their own thoughts, unaware they are being watched. Light spills across these rooms like something holy, catching on the edge of a pearl, a nail, a curl of hair. He worked slowly, painfully slowly. He left behind only a few dozen paintings in his entire lifetime, which means each one was studied, layered, reconsidered. There was no carelessness in him. Every choice was deliberate. And when he died in 1675, deep in debt, with a wife and many children, he was almost immediately forgotten. His name slipped out of history. It took nearly 200 years for the world to rediscover him and realize what it had lost. What we know is that Vermeer was a master of stillness. He understood that the most powerful thing a painting can do is not tell you everything. It is to make you lean closer. And nowhere did he do that more than here. For a long time, people assumed this was a portrait, a picture of a specific girl, someone's daughter, someone's lover, someone who lived and breathed and had a name we simply lost to time. But that is probably not what this is. Art historians widely understand this painting as a tronie. In Vermeer's time, a tronie was not a portrait of a real, named person. It was a study, a face chosen to explore an expression, a costume, a type, a mood, an exotic turban, a certain kind of light on a certain kind of skin. Recent scientific study of the painting supports this. When researchers examined her under powerful imaging, they found no moles, no scars, no freckles, none of the small specific truths that mark a real individual face. She is deliberately smooth, deliberately universal. In other words, she may never have been meant to be anyone at all. And here's the strange part. That should make her feel less real, less personal. A mannequin, a costume study, a technical exercise. Instead, it does the exact opposite. Because she is not a specific person, she can become anyone. She becomes the girl you almost knew, the stranger on the train you never spoke to, the face you saw once and somehow never forgot. Vermeer gave us an empty vessel with a human glance, and the human mind cannot look at an empty vessel with a human glance without pouring itself inside. That is not a flaw in the painting. It may be the whole design. So let's talk about the trick. The reason this painting seems to breathe, it is the gaze. Most people in most paintings are doing something. Looking away, thinking, reading, pouring, praying. They exist inside their own world, and we are outsiders looking in through a window. We are safe, invisible, watching. She is not in her own world. She is in ours. She looks directly out of the canvas, straight into the eyes of whoever stands before her. And because she is turning, caught mid-motion over her shoulder, it feels like she just now noticed you, like you interrupted her, like the encounter is happening right now in real time between the two of you and no one else. There is a psychological weight to being looked at. Direct eye contact activates something ancient in us. We are wired from the first days of infancy to search faces, to lock onto eyes, to feel the pressure of another mind aimed at ours. It can mean love. It can mean threat. It always means attention. Someone, somewhere, has chosen to see you. Vermeer knew how to use that. The wet gleam of light in each eye, the soft edge where the shadow melts into her cheek, even tiny eyelashes, invisible to the naked eye, but revealed by modern scanning, that he painted delicately and that time has since erased. One way to read this painting is that it has no subject at all, or rather that the subject is you. You are the one being studied. You are the story the picture is telling to itself. She looks at you as if she already knows something about you, something you haven't admitted yet, and you look back, trying to find out what it is. Now look at the pearl, the thing that gave the painting its name. For centuries, it stood for everything a pearl can stand for: beauty, wealth, rarity, purity, something precious pulled up from the dark of the sea, in a single glowing drop, an entire world of desire and value. But here is the secret that modern research uncovered. The pearl is an illusion. When conservators studied it closely, they found no fine detail at all, no careful rendering, just a few touches of white paint, a soft, translucent shape for the body of the pearl, and one bright, crisp dot of light near the top. That is it. 2 strokes, essentially, floating in shadow. Stranger still, there is no hook, no wire, no fastening. Nothing actually connects it to her ear. It simply hangs in the dark, defying gravity, held up by nothing but our willingness to believe. Some interpretations even question whether it was ever meant to represent a real pearl at all, rather than a painted suggestion of one. A gleam, a trick of light standing in for an object that was never fully there. And think about what that means. The single most famous jewel in the history of art does not exist. It is a smear of white that your brain has quietly decided is round, is smooth, is heavy, is precious, is real. You completed it. You built the pearl. Right now, looking at it, you are still building it. Which raises a far more unsettling question. If you did that with the pearl, without noticing, without permission, then what else in this painting have you invented? Behind her there is nothing. A wall of pure, endless black. It is one of the reasons she feels so timeless, so isolated, so dreamlike. She floats in a void with no room, no window, no hour of the day, no season. But it turns out that darkness is a ghost. Recent research revealed that Vermeer did not originally paint an empty black background. He painted her standing in front of a green curtain, with soft diagonal folds of fabric in the upper corner. Over the centuries, the fragile green pigment slowly broke down, chemically, physically, until the curtain darkened, dimmed, and finally vanished into shadow. So the void was never the plan. Time made it, decay made it, loss made it. And loss, it turns out, improved the painting. The vanished background stripped away every last piece of context. It removed the room, the moment, the world she stood in. It left her suspended in a darkness that could be any night, in any century. She is not trapped in the past. She is in the dark with you right now, tonight, on the other side of your screen. There is a quiet lesson buried in that accident. Sometimes the things we cannot see are exactly what makes something unforgettable. The empty space is where we live. The silence is where we speak. What Vermeer left unfinished, time finished for him and made it perfect by taking things away. He left her half in shadow, and into that shadow, across 3.5 centuries, we have poured everything we cannot say out loud. So here is what may be the real subject of this painting. Not the girl, not the pearl, not the light. Projection. When we do not know someone, our mind refuses to leave the space empty. It cannot tolerate the blank. So it fills the gap. It writes a story. It gives the stranger a personality, a history, a secret, a feeling toward us. All of it invented. All of it built quietly from our own hopes and fears. Psychologists describe this tendency to see minds and meanings and intentions where there may be none at all, and we do it constantly. We decide a stranger is kind, or cold, or interested, or judging us based on almost nothing. A glance, a tilt of the head, parted lips, a silence we mistake for meaning. Vermeer gave us the perfect surface for that hunger. A nameless face, a smooth, unspecific beauty, a direct gaze, and a mouth caught in the instant just before speech. He gave us almost no information, an infinite invitation. And so millions of people, across centuries and continents and languages, have looked at this exact same face and seen completely different things. A shy servant girl in love with her master, a wise woman guarding a secret, a daughter, a ghost, a lover, a warning, a saint, a seduction. They were never seeing her. There may be no her to see. They were seeing themselves, reflected back in the dark glass of a stranger's eyes. This may be the deepest truth the painting holds. We do not really look at faces. We read them like fortune tellers reading tea leaves, and the fortune we find, every single time, is our own. Now, step out of the 17th century and look at the world you live in. You are surrounded by tronies. Every profile picture is a face carefully turned toward you, emerging from the darkness of a feed, asking to be read. Every dating app is a stack of strangers reduced to a single glance, and you decide in half a second who they are, who they must be, whether they might somehow be the one. Influencers offer you a face, a mood, a beautiful surface with almost no real information behind it, and millions of people fall into what we now call parasocial relationships, one-sided intimacies with strangers who do not know we exist. We feel deeply seen by people who cannot see us at all. And now there are faces that were never even alive, artificial images of people who do not exist, smiling out of the dark of a screen, generated in seconds, pearls with no hook, beauty with no body behind it, a gaze with no mind behind the eyes. We look at all of them the same way people have looked at this girl for 300 years. We fill the silence. We build a whole person out of a highlight and a glance. We fall a little in love with an illusion, and then we are genuinely hurt when it turns out there was no one there to begin with. Vermeer painted the trap before there were screens, before there were cameras, before there was any of this. He understood the machinery of longing better than we do. Give a human being a beautiful face and just enough mystery, and they will do the rest. They will always do the rest. We have not changed. Not really. We have only built more surfaces to pour ourselves into. So what is this painting really about? It is not about a girl. It is about the act of looking, about what happens inside us the moment we meet a gaze. Vermeer discovered something about human nature and sealed it in paint. He learned that we do not passively receive images. We complete them. We meet every face halfway and then finish it with our own desire, our own loneliness, our own quiet need to matter to someone, anyone. He gave us a pearl that is only 2 strokes of white, and we made it real. He gave us a face with no name, and we gave her a soul. He gave us a mouth about to speak. And for 3.5 centuries, we have been leaning in, waiting, certain that this time she'll finally tell us who she is. She never will, and that is exactly why we cannot look away. The real question was never who she was. The real question is why we need her to be someone. Vermeer gives us a face, a glance, a pearl that isn't a pearl, and a silence. And in that silence, we do not discover her. We reveal ourselves. She is still looking. She has been looking the entire time. The only thing that has changed is you.